how connected with both and not all the way connected with both right now. I'm a lot more invested in the conference and the church, and I think she's as she should be, probably more invested with the school right now. But I'm still invested with the school as an alumni, and she's still invested with the conference as an actual member of the conference.
Yeah. So, Shenandoah would be offering an opportunity for students to engage in this adventure, this ministry. So I'm assuming that they would be getting credit and thus would be charged for it.
A lot of the students people who would be living there almost all of them would be current students. And a lot of the way that we would have to probably pay for whatever remodel we would have to do to make this building work as housing space would be in the those rents or
fees.
Yeah, those sort of room fees, because, and probably over the first few years we'd probably have to. The plan now is to find some sort of investor who will build and then will just collect the fees, which is advantageous to an investor like Oak Crest Realty or something, because then they don't have to be responsible for finding tenants, which is a big plus. The church itself would get none of that money. They would get the advantage of having the investment of those students in that place, which would be really what they'd be getting. That church, they just had to close down their child care program, which was a big bummer for them, because it's a 30-year-old program. It was, and now that building, instead of seeing kids when you walk in, it's just empty, they said. At our meeting the other day, they said, we loved walking in and hearing kids. Even us who don't have kids anymore, don't have grandkids that live close, we felt like we were part of their family somehow.
Yeah.
And they've lost that sort of feel, I think.
Hope.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. I mean, they go to meetings. There was one lady, she's an administrative assistant in another church, and she was at the church's meeting earlier in the week, and they said something about the district office, because the district office is going to have to move because the city just bought the creamery building, and that's where our district office is. And it's going to have to move, and somebody said, I heard that they were moving into Market Street, and then somebody else said, I heard Market Street's closing. And their pastor had to say, by the way, this person is a member of Market Street. And so you hear that around, not even in town. This is a church in another town here in this. It really does take a lot out of you.
Yeah.
And so what they're getting out of a lot of this is knowing that there's investment in their church, knowing that there's going to be an infusion of youth or young adults into the life of their church in a way, which just really lit a fire under a lot of them. You could hear them getting excited about something like that.
So would some of the contract with the students then, that they not only live there but they engage in the community?
Yeah, it would be an intentional
life.
community based around maybe not just worship life. It would be based around the rule of life, sort of neo-monasticism, if you will, and that particular community would also be going through some sort of launch year where they're not just living in community, but they're learning how to start this sort of community. And it was funny because you asked last time we talked about this, whether there would be any Bowen stuff in it. And I said, well, I don't know. And then I'm reading through Rhonda's papers and my papers on it, and Rhonda wrote BFST, and I'm like, what do you mean by BFST? She said, oh, Bowen Family Systems Theory would be taught. I said, oh, duh. So that you're not the only person who that was in the head of at the time.
Okay.
And so a lot of what we would be doing is teaching them how to build this type of community. And it would be based around the rule of life. And some of them might not be working in the church all the time, but they would somehow be connected. If we were to get the co-working space off the ground, they might we might have students who are, say, nursing majors living there under that rule of life, also giving classes on maybe prenatal care one night a month to people in the community, local people in the community, not just at the church, but as a way for the church to reach out to the community. There might also be students working on a launch year where they're actually working in the church. So the church gains youth, or they gain students who are able to work under the supervision of me, Rhonda, the current pastor there. And so they gain mentors as they go under that, and also people to affirm them as they're doing their work, and maybe to get a little bit messy in a sort of sandbox style church, which a lot of people like the idea of sort of a sandbox, allowing youth to mess up or to try something new. They like that idea. I don't know if they like it in practice yet, but they do like that idea. And so the church does get a lot out of it, just not that money side, that financial piece. However, they wouldn't be responsible for taking care of that half of the building anymore. Their building would be cut in half, basically. And that's another big piece we have to talk about with the university and with the church, because my thoughts are that the university is going to say, we have to own that half. We have to own that half of the building. And my question is, well, how is that advantageous for the church? If you just want them to give you that half of the building, what's that look like?
I mean, I've never been in Market Street.
It's a lot bigger than you would think.
Okay, I just want to ask how big of a foothold they have there.
Their sanctuary, I would say, is a little bit bigger than the sanctuary in here.
Okay.
And it has a full balcony all the way around, horseshoe-style balcony. And then it has a full basement underneath of that. So just that part of the footprint is really big, with classrooms and everything. And then their education building, trying to think of something to compare it to. Their education building is larger than I thought it was. I would say it's as large as this wing right here, from the end of this hallway over.
Okay.
And it's 3 stories.
Okay.
So there's a lot of space, and 2 of those stories are not used right now, which is incredible. So they could find ways to, with the current size of their church, which is probably around 75 weekly, 75 to 100 weekly. They could find ways to split their building in half and maybe have use of part of the other side of the building and work in some sort of covenantal relationship with the university about how the buildings are used. But that's going to be a whole nother obstacle in itself as we keep pushing through this process. Just a lot of moving pieces in it all.
Yeah. It sounds like it, but it sounds like you're thinking about those obstacles, those parts, and how that might shake out.
All the obstacles I've thought of right now, none of them have been problems so far. And so I just try and think of more and more so that they won't be problems either. Yeah.
So is there a date out there that people are thinking about beginning the program?
I think the Lilly grant gives it a little bit of a date on it. We have to actually say whether we want to apply for this Lilly grant by April 6th, and the grant is due June 1st. A resource we've already started using from Shenandoah is their grant writer. We've told her, we've written out our vision, and she's already started working on reworking it, working with the Lilly grant as it is, telling us how much space we have to write in each area, telling us what part of our visions Lilly really cares about and what part we just shouldn't even mention to Lilly. Even though they might be important for our overall vision, Lilly doesn't care about some of it. If it doesn't have to do with transitions in ministry, transitions into ministry, or transitions out of ministry, Lilly doesn't care about it right now. And seeing as we're helping to form new clergy in this program, we see it as a big transitional ministry from college to whatever goes after that. Yeah, those are some of those areas.
Okay.
So, and I think we would have to start using the money probably by 2019 at the latest. We have 5 years to use up to $1 million. Up to 5 years, up to $1 million. And the people we're trying to work on this with have said, ask for $1 million, not a penny less. It'll be really important to ask for as much money as you can get. And so we'll have 5 years to try and use $1 million. And if that $1 million partially looks like paying somebody or paying one full salary and 2 half salaries, then that would be good. Because we're going to have people run this, and it just can't be a church thing. It just can't be filled in with other people who are already doing other stuff.
I guess then, I mean, ultimately, does it become a Shenandoah University program?
I don't think so. The fact that it is, we want it to be as much a full partnership as possible. And the use of this space in this other building might not just be something that would help out Shenandoah University. We've started to look for what it would look like in the summer months for pastors in the Virginia Conference, because Shenandoah is a Methodist school. Pastors in the Virginia Conference who know they're about to move into a new type of church or in a new church to maybe go on a sort of transition retreat. Or pastors who know they might be going into their last appointment to go into a retreat about what it looks like to finish well. Or pastors who know they're going into their last year of ministry, what it looks like to finish well. Especially if you know, and maybe your church doesn't know you're going into your last year of ministry yet. How do you transition well? Might be a focus of the off-season time. Another big part that the conference would really be invested into is this idea of like sandboxes for college students. In the past, the conference, they did this thing called Calling 21. I was a Calling 21 intern, where they send students to go into different churches throughout the conference, and they just give them 6-week internships in these churches. And what they saw was that they got a lot of younger clergy out of it. A lot of young clergy came through the Calling 21 program that might have not even looked at church. And also the churches that they touched almost immediately got better. They became stronger because, A, for those 6 weeks, I guess everybody was on their best behavior, but also because it sparked a lot of missional imagination in the pastors of those churches who were able to talk to these younger people and sort of rekindle their passion for their own ministry in a lot of cases. And I see a possibility where this could really be that strong sort of thing at Market Street in that particular church. I don't know if it continues to grow, if more students want to pay attention to that sort of sandbox style, if it grows in other churches in the area while they still live in this intentional community. So I don't see it just being a Shenandoah University program.
Okay.
I see a lot of ways that it can be, that it should be a full partnership between the church, the conference, Shenandoah University. Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I'm impressed by all the work and thought that goes into a vision, into a dream like that. It's interesting you started off somewhere saying that the vision that's presently is different than the vision you started out with.
I mean, I started out with wondering what it would look like to have a coffee shop 6 days a week and a church a 7th day a week in the coffee shop. That's where this started. And now it's something completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still a little bit of that feeling in this idea of a co-working space where community can come together. Or a new community can be formed in that space. But at that time it was sort of putting together a new church, a new alternative style of church, and this is, how can we take a church that's already existing and really just not get rid of what they have, but enhance what they have and also allow them to let new things grow in their midst. And in a way make that particular community healthier and also allow them to let parts of themselves that aren't extremely healthy maybe die a little bit. Which this church has already been doing the work of.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to us.
Interesting.
When we started.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So in the back of their minds, they've gone through their own internal process that sort of makes them welcome the idea here.
Yeah. They know they're at a point where they have to do something. So they're at a moment where they are ripe for growth, ripe for something new.
Are there ways that other local congregations can partner?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. This particular church is really open to partnering with local congregations. I mean, they share a pastor with another church right now. They partner with other congregations in their soup kitchen that they do weekly. Other congregations come in and they take turns. They partner with other congregations in their work with Watts. I don't know if it looks like partnering with a bunch of congregations at the very beginning of this, or if that's something that happens maybe later, as sort of the test drive maybe shows promise, especially for that sort of sandbox style of inviting young adults to be ministering in these different places. What that looks like from a university standpoint. How can we make that look like work study? Never heard of a federal work study inside of a non-university church.
Yeah. That'll be interesting.
Well, I don't know if it's even legal.
Legal schmeagle.
Right.
Yeah.
I do see opportunity for partnership from other church in different ways, though. I see more partnership from the larger church, from the district level, and from the conference level. I see this being a big conference initiative if we can get some more yeses and get some more oomph behind it. Something the conference would really be excited in pushing towards. I don't know what it looks like with other local congregations, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't know either, but it sounds like it would be. Yeah, I could just imagine. I'm just thinking, and imagination is a wonderful thing.
That's how we got here.
And reality is we can just douse it. But if this were to take off and to grow, and you had the intentional living community growing and working together in sort of a neo-monastic, as you said, lifestyle. But if then they were called to work within the wider community, maybe that nursing student could work in the free clinic.
That's something we've actually been talking about. We've been in contact with Our Health, which being in contact with Our Health, we think gives us access to a lot of different opportunities for those students who might not be working on the church side of that. So yeah, that is definitely something we're looking at partnering with others on.
Or
Because the free clinic's connected with Our Health. Who else? Everybody downtown.
Right.
Any non-profit downtown is connected with Our Health.
you know, our church, Grace, has now is using what they're calling choral scholars
Mm-hmm.
to sing in the choir and help with leadership in the
Mm-hmm.
in the music program. You know.
That's popular downtown.
Yeah, it is popular. And, I mean, and they've really. I've been impressed with what these 4 students have brought to the music program.
I had friends in college who sung at Braddock Street.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, what if that experience in church, you know, was also backed up by the living together and
Mm-hmm.
and being community together and all that, and what if the education student could work in the after school program or you know, all of those kinds of things.
Yeah, that's really what we're thinking
Okay.
through.
All right.
You're right on.
All right.
You're right on track.
Okay.
Yeah, you are right on track with where we're at. And that's sort of been one of the things we've been trying to brainstorm through is what it looks like to integrate people who might not be part of launch year into this intentional community, because there might not be as many students in launch year as can fit in this intentional community.
Yeah.
And Lily doesn't really care about the intentional community. It's important to us for other reasons, and we think it's important to a launch year for them to be in an intentional community. But not everybody in the intentional community needs to be a part of the launch year.
Right.
And so Shenandoah has some experience with that sort of intentional community. Not, they wouldn't call it an intentional community, but there's Sullenberger Hall. In your application to live there, you have to say what you're going to do to make the community better when you live there, and how you're going to interact with the community. And I don't know how much they enforce what people say they're going to do before they move there.
Yeah, but anything that helps create community
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
have people be more community minded than
Yeah.
you know, what's the community that's on their phone or the community that's on their
Yeah, and that's
computer.
really what we're trying to combat against, especially and the reason we like it so much here is you do neo-monasticism in DC, you're not going to meet anybody that thinks differently from you. You do it in Winchester and in Frederick County, you're going to meet people with a whole array of different understandings about the world than you will at Shenandoah University.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to learn how to talk to and love people who live in Trump land.
Yeah.
Which is something that we don't know how to do.
Right.
Those millennials, they just don't know how to do it. I don't think anybody really knows how to do it.
Or the migrant farm workers.
Or the migrant farm workers, or anybody.
The number of homeless we have on the streets and all those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get those in DC, but
You get those in DC, but it's the norm.
yeah.
And those people, I think a lot of times, the homeless are still looked down on in DC.
Sure they are.
But
They look down everywhere.
I don't think you'll get. I think it's easier to stay ideologically disconnected in a large urban area than it is in a smaller town.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to stay ideologically disconnected in Winchester or Frederick County if you are a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's easy to stay ideologically isolated if you stay on Shenandoah University's campus. But when you meld those two together, how do we create sort of community where not everybody always agrees?
Yeah, but and on the other side of it, you can see the impact that the program would have,
Mm-hmm.
whereas DC, it's so huge.
It'd just be another
It's
one.
just another one.
Yeah.
How do you not be another program? But here,
It would be fascinating in a place like this where you're far enough out that,
yeah. That sounds like so exciting.
it is an exciting prospect right now.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to hear
Yeah.
how all your meetings go. And,
Yeah, I'll let
Why
y'all
don't you take
know
over
here
from
in
that?
2 weeks.
yeah. Great.
All right.
Thanks.